Hi everyone, good morning. I've done my next bit of reading on day 3 for the 21 most powerful minutes in a leader's day. And the thought for today is leadership is who you are before it's what you do. And the proverb today is 11:30. Live right and you will eat from the life-giving tree. If you act wisely, others will follow. So John Maxwell here is talking about incarnational leadership. And in our Catholic faith, when we talk about the incarnation, we talk about God becoming man. And we talk about how we are joined to Jesus through the Eucharist and through the sacraments. So it's about who we are becoming. And for us as Christians, we are following Christ's path. We are taking out actions that will lead to healing, not just for ourselves, but for others, especially the most vulnerable. We are looking at how we are seen by people, and how Jesus was seen by people was not who he really was, so we can take comfort in that. People called him Beelzebub, people called him Satan, people called him demonic, and yet he was the exact opposite. He was completely good, and he was completely man and God. So for us as Christians, we take these concepts and we apply them in our lives. When we talk about emotions or values, those values can come through anything. They can come through the music we listen to, the books we're reading, the daily interactions that we have with people, and how we are living our lives. So for example, for me, am I happy that people constantly let me go from jobs and that I don't have an income and I don't have work? Of course I'm not. But from childhood, I've been doing the right things by my companies, by the people I work with, by my community, by my country. And if people can't see that, that's not my fault. I'm doing everything I can to secure work and to secure employment. So there are specific examples that John Maxwell gives in here. So when we talk about character, we talk about doing right. That will build credibility. When we talk about being relational, we talk about caring about others. Caring about others leads to love. Anybody that's grown up in a family that's loving will know that. Encouraging people leads to people believing in themselves, and you'll get a high morale on your team. If you're constantly giving people warnings, constantly reprimanding them, constantly telling them what they did wrong on your work, you're not going to get people who are engaged or people who want to do more than is expected. Because why would they? You're always criticizing them for the work that they do. You're never happy with the work that they do. You're not happy with their accent. You're not happy with who they are. So you clearly do not want them on your team. Because if you want people on your team, you will encourage them, you will help them, you'll help them get to the next level, you'll help them to get better salaries, better rewards, vacations, and those are the things that will motivate your team and will help your team to do better for your company. And then when we talk about sensitive, being sensitive doesn't mean like being a weeping willow. It means embracing flexibility and being openness for renewal. So being sensitive to what is happening in the environment. For example, when people came to Jesus who were not from his community, he didn't give the healings at first. He said no. And he said no quite strongly in some cases. But afterwards, when he saw that they did respect him and that they were not trying to trip him up or they were not trying to just make a show of things, he did help them. And he did give them healing for their families, for their children. So it's important to remember that in our environments, wherever we're working, it means being open to what is coming next in that environment. And it may be like with me. I've had so many different job losses. It became devastating. I could not get up from a chair without being in pain because it was too much coming at me all at once. Plus, there were illnesses in the family. There were other things happening in my life. I had lost friends. So it became too much. Even with my faith, it started affecting my body. And I couldn't even get out of my bed. I had to roll onto my side and then bend my knees, put my feet down on the floor, and then gently lift my body up. And then once the pool opened, I started going and just sitting in the pool, wading in the pool, and then gently trying to swim, and slowly using my essential oils, going out for gentle walks. You look at me today and you think that's not possible, but it is. That's what was happening to me. And even when I tell people, like when I saw Celine Dion's post about what was happening to her, I didn't tell her what to do, but I shared with her what I did, which helped me. I didn't have her disease. I don't have the same situation as her, but I shared what I did and what helped me in the hopes that it helps others. The same thing with music that enriches me, or the values that I find in the music. I don't tell people what to do, but I do tell them what helped me. Now, when I go for spiritual direction, it is different. I'm doing the spiritual direction now and the prayers now the way I was taught to do them at Regis College. But the traditional way, when you go to somebody that is a good spiritual director, they will tell you what to do. They will give you scriptures to look at. They will tell you, this is where the problem is. This is what's happening right here. This is what you need to focus on. We don't do that anymore. Why? Because people are too quick to come up with being insulted, with going to lawyers, with going to the police, with saying, oh, look at what they told us to do here. Now this is their fault. Without thinking that, okay, even if somebody told you to do that, does that mean you have to do it? Whether it's somebody that has the title of a doctor or a lawyer or whoever, does it mean that they are necessarily right? So we in the church, we don't do spiritual direction anymore the way I like it, and the way that like when I go for spiritual direction, I tell my spiritual directors, I need you to tell me what to do, because I really don't know, and asking me questions is not going to help me, because I don't have the answer. But we can share our experience with others, and just like we pick up the Bible and we read it and we see what Jesus did, then hopefully people will get some good out of that, and they can follow, or they can decide whether they want to do it or not. And with my essential oils, they really, really helped me. I mean, I got my oils, I got one for anxiety from Mystic Moments, and I would put that in my diffuser while I was working at home. And I would also use a lot of the lavender and the bergamot. The lavender has no contraindications, and bergamot is good for depression, for underlying anger, for stubborn situations, and it's a fruit that grows in Italy. They extract the oil from the rind, and with the lavender they extract the oil from the flowers. So there are different oils that we use. We have top notes, middle notes, and base notes, and we use them to treat different things in the body. And that's what I did, and that's how today you see me walking pain-free. I can go for walks in the ravine. I can swim 12 or 14 laps at a time. I couldn't do that 5 years ago. And I removed myself from all the people who were blaming me for my circumstances. And that's how I got better. So Jesus also told us he couldn't perform miracles where there was no faith. Because if people don't have that faith in you, and if they do what they did to Elvis Presley, and you have somebody running the show that is a thief and a gambler, then, I mean, your life is obviously not going to get better. And then a visionary, so we set goals. Now, life can turn on a dime, but it doesn't stop us from setting goals. Goals give us a direction. They help us to decide where we want to be. We're teachable, we apply what we learn, that leads to growth. And then we're charismatic, that helps us to be motivational and to inspire others. We're humble, we rely on God because that is our source of power. Our power doesn't come from titles, it doesn't come from our own strength, it comes from God. That is the power. And if you look at societies where they take God out of it, it just becomes a mess. Because there's no problem with anything then. Why not sell drugs like popcorn? People can make up their own minds, right? Does that mean it's necessarily right? It doesn't. And then conviction, we remain steadfast, and that builds commitment. It builds commitment to our faith. It builds commitment to keeping our path straight and to always keeping Jesus at the center of our lives. And then we focus on others, we reach out to others. We're confident in making our decisions because we have that security that comes from leaning on Jesus. And we're spirit-filled, so our lives are our witness and we bear fruit from that. It doesn't matter what comes against us. I mean, for me, I've been living in poverty since I was born. So it's not like I was born into a wealthy family or that I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I mean, I've always been willing to clean tables, wait tables, do whatever. But now at the same time, I have an education. I want to use it. I want to start earning those salaries which are over 50,000 so that I can buy my own home and I can do the things that other people in my family and my relatives had the opportunity to do. Because I've also worked hard. I haven't had any problems with the police, with the law. I've done everything right. So I'm persevering and I'm putting my faith in Jesus. And John Maxwell makes a point here, leaders get into trouble when they put their desire for results before their willingness to develop themselves in areas of competence and character. And so that's important. That's why I was so hurt when I got taken to the police station, because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't see what was coming. I didn't think I was going to be forced to get a psychiatric assessment. I mean, I was completely in the dark. I was just doing what they told me to do, just like I was doing what they told me to do at HSBC or BMO or anywhere else I worked. It was too much for me. I was completely shocked. And I turned my life around. I got a job. Yes, it was a minimum wage job, but I got it and I held it. And I recovered my health. My finances have not recovered. They obviously cannot recover if you're working in minimum wage. But I have done everything right. And even the police told me, they said, you've never had any problems with the police up to now. And that was because of what happened at the airport. Because no woman, it's like what's happening to the CFO at RBC. No woman would want that. Especially when there is no wrongdoing in the workplace. There is nothing that's happened. And people are making a big drama out of something that's got nothing to do with them. My life and my career has got nothing to do with them. And it's got nothing to do with them if they feel that, okay, this person wanted to be friends with her. That's their feeling. Keep it to yourself, because really nobody gives a damn. People want me to come in, to do my job, to do a good job, and then to be able to proceed and rise up in the organization. And that's what I want. I don't want everybody bringing their family problems and everything into my workplace and spoiling my name and my reputation in the church, in the workplace. I mean, every area, it touched every area of my life, even traveling. I mean, it's ridiculous, and anybody with any kind of common sense would see the stupidity of it, because it's not benefiting the company in any way. For the people that are doing it, it's not benefiting their families. It's not helping them in any way. It's just making them look like idiots. And so the question for today is, do you focus on what you've done or who you are becoming? And that's a good question for us to reflect on and to focus on. And to know that whatever happens, I mean, when our time is up on this earth. There's nothing that you can do. But we have to fight for our lives. And it's just like that guy that's in prison who killed Bobby Kennedy. I mean, he's proud of himself. He said he's sorry, and he doesn't know what came over him, and he would never do that in his right mind. But then he also told the reporter that, oh, if I had gone, they asked him, what would happen if we sent you back to your country? And he's like, oh, I would get a hero's welcome. So that's why they kept him in America. And they didn't kill him, because they want him to live with what he did. Some people have no conscience. It's a very interesting interview. You should watch it. It's the Frost interview. You can find it on YouTube, and it's there. And I mean, you can't, maybe if Bobby had taken a different turn, maybe if he hadn't decided to go the way he had gone, maybe he would still be alive today. But we can't change the maybes. And I wasn't alive then, but I know how deeply it affected my dad, because I used to sit with him and listen to that record. They made a recording of what happened with Jack Kennedy, with Bobby Kennedy and Martin Luther King. And I used to just sit with him because it used to affect him so badly. And it's devastating. It's the same way when we got news of assassinations with the black leaders. It used to kill us. But what can you do? The people used to cry. Everybody used to cry. All races, black, white, Indians, coloreds. Because there's a war, yes, but when they assassinate like that and they shoot down the planes, it's devastating. And they kill people in broad daylight. And some people have no conscience. Unprovoked attacks, and yet they're getting the support. People are demonstrating in the streets. It's ridiculous. Anyway, so basically he's just saying it's not the goal that makes the leader. It's who we are, and who we are in our workplace, on our teams, in our communities, in our families. Yes, it would be easy for me, or it would be nice for me to get a good paying job and to leave if I have to. But over here, I've got friends, I've got the church, I've got my community. I've been living in this community since I came to Canada. That's a long time. I've been part of Blessed Sacrament since 2007. I know people in this area. I know people in this community. So it's not as simple as just picking up and going. But obviously, if I got a good job that paid me well somewhere else, I would go. Because I don't want to be stuck in a place where I don't have an income and I don't have money coming in and I can't meet my responsibilities. Because that's how I am. I'm serious-minded. Yes, I know how to have fun. I know how to go out, enjoy myself. But I take my responsibilities seriously.